Unaware she was the secret billionaire who just bought his father's failing company, husband called his wife a poor fat pig at family dinner. What she did next shocked everyone. He didn't just insult her, he did it at the long dining table in his parents' home, in front of his entire family and another woman, while the plates were still warm. Michael Carter leaned back in his chair, glared at the wife who had followed him through every struggle, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're just a poor fat pig. You should be grateful that anyone married you." The room went silent. Forks stopped. Eyes dropped. No one spoke up for her. At the far end of the table, Emma Carter kept her hands in her lap so no one would see them shake. Her simple dress skimmed over her soft curves, full hips, rounded stomach. Arms she'd learned to hide under sleeves. She wore no expensive jewelry, nothing that hinted at the truth she carried. To them, she was just the quiet, slightly overweight wife from a modest home, someone who didn't understand pressure, someone who had nothing to offer. What they didn't know was this. The woman he just humiliated had signed a very different set of papers not long before that dinner. On every contract, she wasn't Emma Carter at all. She was Emma Hale, secret heir to a massive fortune. Behind closed doors, under a coded file name, she had quietly become the buyer of something his father was desperate to save. Their failing family company, hidden behind one cold label, Asset 44B. While Michael complained she lived small, had no ambition, and didn't even take care of herself, Emma was the one holding the future of the entire Carter empire in her hands. The night he chose to break her in front of everyone was the night she finally decided to stop protecting him. This isn't just a story about an insult at dinner. It's about what happens when a man laughs at a woman he doesn't really know, while standing on ground she secretly owns. Dear viewers, thank you for being here. If you watch without subscribing, it's like letting Emma's strength be ignored the way they ignored her at that table. When you click that button, you stand with every quiet, soft-hearted soul who was mocked, underestimated, and still chose to rise. Please subscribe now and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Emma Carter, 32 years old, quiet, soft-spoken, soft-bodied, stands frozen in the center of her small living room, gripping a worn cream-colored scarf as if holding on to the last string of a fading life. Her chest rises sharply, almost as though she has just escaped danger, or just survived a blow no one else could see. The scarf trembles in her hands. Then slowly, everything softens. Her breath steadies. Her gaze lowers. The intensity melts into a calm, practiced quietness, one she has carried for many years, long before she ever married Michael Carter or learned to smile through disappointment. She folds the scarf with deliberate care. This scarf belonged to her mother, Olivia Hale, a woman the world once whispered about in business circles. Olivia was known as the quiet mastermind, a woman who controlled a massive corporate empire with a calmness that intimidated even seasoned CEOs. She raised Emma alone, shaping her daughter with a private, humble kind of strength. Emma folds the scarf again, slower this time. The fabric is old, slightly frayed at the edges, but she treats it like something sacred. The room around her is modest, not poor, just intentionally simple, as though its owner never wanted anyone to suspect she could afford more. A small couch, a second-hand table, soft, warm lighting. Everything in the space looks comfortable, lived in, and chosen with gentle care. The rent is cheap, the neighborhood quiet. Michael calls it temporary until the company turns around. Emma never argues. Emma's dress hangs softly over full hips and a rounded stomach. She isn't the kind of woman magazines put on covers. Her body is thicker now than in her early 20s, arms soft beneath the fabric. She has learned to choose clothes that skim instead of cling, not because she hates her body, but because careless comments sink deeper than people think. But the shelf on the far wall tells a different story. On it stands a single-frame photograph. Young Emma, around 8 years old, standing beside her mother, both dressed formally, smiling stiffly as two powerful businessmen shake Olivia's hand. The background is a high-rise conference hall, expensive suits, gold accents, and documents spread across glass tables. A flash of memory flickers in Emma's eyes when she was age 8. She stands behind her mother, watching Olivia sign papers while men in black suits shift uncomfortably. "Your daughter is very observant," one of the executives says. Olivia smiles gently. "She's learning early." Emma doesn't speak, but she remembers that moment. The way her mother's pen moved with certainty, the quiet authority she held, the clear understanding that her mother wasn't just another businesswoman. She owned the room. She also remembers what Olivia told her in the car afterward. "Power isn't for showing off, Emma. It's for protecting what matters." Those words became the foundation of Emma's life. Back in the present, Emma places the scarf on the shelf beneath the photo. Her fingers linger for a moment on the wooden edge, as if grounding herself. Emma inherited her mother's empire the week she turned 19. Not a portion of it, all of it. Billions in assets, shares across dozens of industries. Companies people on the street would recognize by name. A legacy built quietly, intentionally, and passed down even quieter. Legally, she never changed her name on any of those documents. On every contract, every trust, every acquisition, she is still Emma Hale. Carter is the name she uses for everyday life, for marriage, for neighbors, for family dinners. In the world that moves money, she is the Hale heir, and almost no one around her knows these two identities belong to the same woman. Emma swore she would never let wealth define her relationships, not after watching people try to use her mother, not after watching Olivia hide tears behind office doors. So Emma built a life disguised as ordinary. She chose a simple marriage, a simple home, a simple job, a simple appearance. She became the woman no one envied. The woman no one targeted. The woman no one suspected. And for years in that disguise protected her. Until now. The sound of running water stops down the hallway. A bathroom door clicks. A shadow moves past the dim light beneath the doorframe. Her husband, Michael Carter, 35 years old, charming when he wants to be, impatient when he thinks no one notices, steps out into the hallway, towel around his neck. He doesn't know Emma is listening. His voice echoes lightly through the thin walls of their rented townhouse. "I can't stand this," he mutters, annoyed. "Always moving so slow. Always acting clueless." Emma closes her eyes briefly. She has grown used to the subtle disrespect that slips through his tone, the sighs, the impatience, the small remarks he thinks she doesn't hear. He wasn't always like this, but the company's decline over the past year has sharpened him into someone hard and cold. She finishes straightening the living room, moves a small plant closer to the window, wipes a faint speck from the table. Movements of someone who finds control in small, gentle details. When everything is in place, she picks up her bag. She opens the front door, pauses. A strange tightness creeps up her spine, a quiet awareness, a whisper of change, the feeling that something unseen has already shifted behind her, waiting to reveal itself. Emma didn't know why she hesitated, only that the world behind her no longer felt the same. Her hand tightens on the doorknob. Today, something is different. Today is the same day she will sit at his family's long dinner table. Today will be the last day anyone sees her as ordinary. As she steps outside, a muffled notification sound comes from Michael's phone inside the house, followed by a quiet, unfamiliar female laugh from a short voice note before it's silenced. Emma doesn't hear it, but the audience does. Michael Carter stands in the kitchen with his back turned to the door. His shoulders shake, not from stress, but from a quiet laugh he tries to hide. The glow of his phone lights his face, revealing a grin he never shows Emma anymore. Another message flashes on the screen next to a contact saved as JW Accounts. Another smile. He types quickly, eagerly. This was the version of Michael Emma never saw, the version that saved his warmth for someone else. Just then, the front door clicks. Emma enters softly. Michael instantly stiffens. He slides his phone into his pocket like it's something fragile and forbidden. His smile vanishes before he turns around. Emma doesn't catch any of this. She only smells something strange as she walks closer, a sweet perfume she doesn't wear. It clings to his shirt faintly, like a ghost that refuses to leave. She pauses, eyes narrowing for half a second. But Emma's gentle by nature. She doubts her own suspicion before she doubts him. Her voice stays soft. "Long day?" she asks. Michael sighs loudly, overdramatically, as if her presence alone is exhausting. Yeah, stressful. I'm tired, he says, brushing past her to reach the fridge. The shift is subtle, but cutting. Emma feels it. The audience feels it. Michael didn't answer her question. He avoided it. And his tone wasn't just tired, it was dismissive. He grabs a drink, opens it sharply, and leans against the counter with the silent impatience of someone who wishes he were somewhere else. Emma tries again, gently. Is everything okay with your father's company? Michael shrugs, irritated. It's always something, and honestly, you wouldn't understand. You don't really know what pressure feels like. Emma's hands tighten slightly. A tiny sting hits her chest, but she hides it. She has known pressure her entire life, pressure he never imagined. But she chose never to burden him with her truth. To him, she's the woman with a simple job and a simple life, not someone who sits over billions in hidden assets. Michael keeps talking, more to himself now. Sometimes I wish you had more drive, more ambition, something to help the family instead of just being simple. His eyes travel over her body for a second, over the soft curve of her waist, the way her dress rests over her stomach. His mouth twists almost imperceptibly. You don't even try to take care of yourself anymore, he adds under his breath. The words are quiet. The damage is not. He didn't know the woman he mocked had signed contracts that shaped entire markets before she even finished college. Michael's phone buzzes again. He flinches. Emma notices this time. His eyes flick to his pocket, then to her. Her heart sinks, not because she knows what's happening, but because she realizes he doesn't want her to know anything anymore. To break the tension, Emma steps toward the living room. But as she passes the hallway, she hears Michael's voice drop low. He's whispering into his phone. She freezes just beyond the wall. Michael says, "Yeah, she's still the same. So plain. I can't do anything with someone like her. She embarrasses me." Emma's breath stops. Not fully, but enough that she must hold herself upright against the wall. She doesn't hear the name of the person he's talking to. She doesn't hear the soft giggle on the other end. She only catches fragments, painful shards of sentences that pierce more deeply than she expects. Her eyes soften, not with tears, but with a quiet ache. She turns away before he notices she overheard. She doesn't confront him. She never confronts harshness with harshness. She retreats into herself, just as she was taught. Emma believed the man she married was still somewhere inside him, but she was wrong. Michael steps out of the hallway, phone still in his hand. Emma is standing in the living room pretending to read a magazine, her posture calm but her eyes distant. The magazine is upside down. He doesn't even notice. He doesn't notice the change. He doesn't notice her fading hope. He doesn't notice anything about her anymore. He walks right past her without a glance. As Michael disappears into the bedroom, his phone buzzes again, this time louder. A woman's voice message plays briefly before he shuts the door. "Miss you already, Mike." And while Emma questioned her worth, his father's collapsing company was about to pull all their secrets into the light. Richard Carter, 62 years old, Michael's father and the CEO of their family company, slams a stack of financial reports onto his office desk. Papers scatter across the floor. His face is red, sweaty, shaking with a frustration he can no longer hide. He paces back and forth in the dim office, every step heavy with fear. "This is it," Richard growls. "We're finished. The company will sink in weeks at this rate." Michael stands opposite him, his voice rising as panic takes over. He is not calm, not controlled, not anything like a capable partner in crisis. He is shouting, "Then find investors, Dad. Do something. We can't let your father's legacy end like this." Richard points a trembling finger at the glowing document on the screen. "Emergency financial review. Immediate action required." His voice breaks. "I've already done everything I can. We're drowning in debt. The banks are done with us, and the last investor walked after seeing the numbers." The tension hangs thick and suffocating. Emma knew corporate collapse better than anyone in that office. She had witnessed one at the age of 13 and watched her mother rebuild an empire stronger than before. But Emma isn't here now, and even if she were, Michael and Richard would never imagine she could help. Not her, the simple wife with the soft body and quiet life, and Emma herself would never offer. Not after the words Michael whispered behind walls. The scene slows. The energy softens into deeper reflection. Richard sinks into his chair, rubbing his temples. His voice lowers into a defeated whisper. We need a miracle, or a buyer. Someone with deep pockets. Someone willing to take on a dying company. Michael's eyes narrow, filled with bitterness. Well, we don't know anyone like that. The irony is sharp. The audience feels it. Emma, in her small living room, is unaware of just how close her hidden world is to her husband's failing one. Michael continues pacing. He's agitated, sweating, breathing fast, like a man who feels his entire life slipping away. She doesn't even help, he mutters under his breath. Emma has no ambition, no drive. I married someone who can't even lift a finger for this family. Richard doesn't answer. He is too focused on the collapsing numbers in front of him. If Richard knew the truth, he would fall to his knees. Emma had the power to buy not one company, but 10. Richard stands again and faces Michael. If only someone, anyone, would buy us out, he says quietly. Even if it meant giving up control, at least the company would survive under a stronger owner. Michael's jaw clenches. His frustration boils. Stronger owner? We don't even know anyone qualified. Richard sighs with exhaustion. Then pray one exists. The camera cuts to a different location. Several days earlier, Emma sits at her small desk with her laptop open. She is doing her nightly routine, reviewing the list of acquisitions her legal team screened for her investment portfolio. She takes this seriously, even in her simple life. A video call is open on her screen. Ms. Green, Emma's family lawyer, an older woman with sharp glasses and a calm voice, explains the files. This next one, Emma, is labeled Asset 44B, she says. It's a struggling company. We recommend purchasing it before it collapses entirely. The price is favorable, and anonymity will remain intact. Our checks show no conflict with your existing holdings. Emma nods softly, pen tapping the desk. Sector, she asks. Manufacturing and logistics, Ms. Green replies. Old family-run structure, good contracts, poor recent management. The kind of company your mother used to turn around in her sleep. On Emma's screen, there are only charts, ratios, and coded identifiers. No brand names, no familiar logos. The full legal name, Carter Industries, appears only on Ms. Green's internal documents, never on Emma's mass summary. Emma signs the document with a quiet certainty. Go ahead, she says. Approve the acquisition. To everyone in the legal chain, she is Emma Hale, acting through a holding company. To the system, Carter is just another surname in a long list. No reason to link it to her husband. Emma does not know she just bought her husband's family company. As Emma closes the laptop, the screen flickers briefly, showing the company's full name for just a split second before shutting down. Emma doesn't see it, but the audience does. Carter Industries. By the time she learned the truth, the papers would already be signed and the date of takeover set in stone. Emma's laptop screen flashes to life, filling her dim living room with a cold blue glow. The encrypted video call buzzes loudly, almost violently, before stabilizing. On the screen appears Miss Green, her longtime family lawyer. Ms. Green is a woman in her late 50s, silver hair pinned tight, thin glasses framing sharp eyes trained to see through any contract or lie. She has been the guardian of Emma's inheritance since the day her mother died. Her voice enters with urgency. Emma, we need to review these documents tonight. The market window is closing fast on several flagged assets. She speaks fast, too fast. Emma feels the pressure instantly. She straightens in her seat, heart beating a little quicker, not with fear, but with the deep seriousness her mother taught her to carry when handling business. On the coffee table sits a tall stack of folders, each one marked with code numbers instead of names. No logos on the front pages, no company titles where Emma can see them. Just numbers, 44A, 44B, 45C, 51F, a security measure designed by her mother's lawyers decades ago. This system kept Emma's identity hidden from every company she owned or invested in. It also kept her distant from the emotional pull of familiar brands or family names. Everything she sees is filtered. Performance, risk, return. Nothing personal. It was the rule Olivia had insisted on. Power is safest when no one knows where it sits. The scene slows into deeper reflection. Emma takes a quiet breath, brushing her fingers over the edges of the folders. She has done this routine many times. Reading files, signing approvals, trusting Ms. Green's team to do the deep digging. In all these years, her anonymity has never once been breached, and her personal life has never overlapped with her portfolio. Ms. Green flips through her own copy of documents. "This next acquisition is important," she says, tapping a page. "Asset 44B. It's a failing company, but it has strong structural value. Our research shows it could return to profit with the right owner. The current family leadership is sentimental and attached to the past, but there's a backbone worth saving." Emma nods lightly. She has no reason to doubt them. Ms. Green continues, voice lower. "There is one more thing. This company seems to have sentimental value to someone. It's old, family-run, and has roots stretching back over 3 generations. The current executives will receive formal notification after closing. As usual, your holding company will appear as the buyer. Your personal identity won't." Emma tilts her head. "Sentimental value?" "Yes," Ms. Green replies, "but details are sealed behind confidentiality clauses. We followed the usual protocol. All documents show your birth name only on our internal side, never on theirs. To them, it's just a distant, faceless investor." Emma has lived long enough inside this system to understand it. She trusts it. She trusts Ms. Green. She trusts the layers of anonymity built to protect her from exploitation, manipulation, and the kind of greed that once circled her mother. She lifts her pen. Before signing, she hesitates, not out of doubt, but from the faint pressure in her chest she felt earlier that day. That strange sensation, that quiet warning she couldn't understand. This was the same sensation she had felt before major shifts in her life. A whisper of change her mother once called the Hale intuition. Emma pushes the feeling aside. She signs Asset 44B with one elegant stroke, then signs 44A, then 45C, then the rest, each one processed with calm professionalism. It is only after she finishes that she gently leans back, letting her hand rest on her lap. Ms. Green gives a formal nod. That completes this round of acquisitions. The 44B takeover will be finalized on the scheduled date. Your anonymity remains airtight. No one in that company will see the name Emma Hale, and certainly not Emma Carter. Emma's voice is soft. "I trust your judgment." Ms. Green closes the file. "That is what your mother said as well." Those words land with weight. Emma looks across her living room. On the shelf sits the worn scarf, the childhood photo, the traces of a past she keeps hidden under layers of simplicity and round, gentle features people assume mean weakness. Emma, age 19, stands in a polished boardroom wearing a black dress much too formal for her age. Her mother's will lies open on the table. Lawyers stare at her with serious eyes. One says softly, "You inherit everything." Emma remembers gripping the chair so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Her mother had prepared her, but nothing prepares a 19-year-old for billions in responsibility. She had whispered, "I don't want people to treat me differently." Ms. Green had nodded. "Then we will make you invisible, everything in your birth name, no link to whatever name you take if you marry." Back in the present, the video call ends. Silence fills the room. Emma gathers the signed documents and places them neatly in a folder, unaware of what she truly set into motion. She doesn't know she has just changed the course of her husband's entire life, or his father's, or the family that quietly looks down on her body, her clothes, her quietness. She simply closes her laptop, believing this was just another normal night in the hidden world she manages alone. She had no idea how personal this acquisition truly was, yet. At the bottom of the folder, one sheet slips loose and lands face up on the floor. Emma doesn't see it, but the audience does. Asset 44B, ownership transfer, Carter Industries. A phone buzzes in the distance. Michael's phone, followed by a woman's soft voice. "See you tomorrow, Michael." Michael Carter leans forward over a small cafe table, laughing in a way Emma hasn't heard in months. His shoulders are relaxed. His face is bright. His entire body language is open, alive, like someone who feels completely understood. But the woman sitting across from him isn't Emma. Her name is Jessica Warren, 30 years old, a financial assistant at his father's company. She is confident, polished, and knows exactly how to hold a man's attention. Jessica leans close, her hand grazing Michael's tie in a playful, familiar way. Her voice is soft, teasing. "You shouldn't stress so much, Mike. You know I'm here for you." Michael smiles wider, letting her fingers linger. "Yeah, you always know how to calm me down." Their laughter mixes with the sound of clinking cups. The intensity spikes as Jessica's hand slides slowly down the front of his tie. She is not hiding anything, and Michael is not pushing her away. The scene slows into reflection. Across the street, Emma steps out of her car, holding a small container wrapped neatly in a cloth. She made Michael's favorite snacks, simple, warm pastries he always loved when they first dated. Back then, he used to say he loved soft things, soft food, soft music, soft hugs, soft girl. Now he never says that. She knows he has been coming to this cafe more often to talk strategy with colleagues. She wanted to surprise him, support him, remind him she's on his side. She stands on the sidewalk with hope on her face, small, innocent hope. As she approaches the cafe window, she lifts her eyes and freezes. Through the glass, she sees two silhouettes sitting close. One silhouette with broad shoulders and familiar posture, Michael. The other, clearly a woman, leaning in, far too close. Emma doesn't see Jessica's hand on his tie clearly from this angle. Afternoon sunlight hits the glass at a slant, turning it into a tinted mirror that softens details. She only sees their outlines, the way their heads tilt toward each other, the shape of Jessica's slim figure angled toward Michael's. Emma wasn't a woman who jumped to conclusions, but something about that closeness felt wrong. Unmistakably wrong. Her breath catches. Her grip on the pastry container tightens. She takes a small step back, then another, careful not to make a sound. Her mind tries to protect her heart. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a colleague. Maybe he's just stressed. But her instincts whisper the truth she isn't ready to hear. Emma slowly moves to the side of the building where she can watch without being seen, hiding behind a column near a parked car. Inside, Jessica leans in again and whispers something into Michael's ear. He chuckles, soft, relaxed, intimate, the kind of laugh he hasn't given Emma in a long time. Emma's chest tightens painfully. She turns her head away, blinking several times to keep herself steady. She doesn't want to see more. She doesn't want to assume the worst. She doesn't want to break, but she can't leave yet. Part of her is hoping, desperately, that Michael will pull away, create distance, show respect. He doesn't. Jessica rests her hand on his forearm. He lets her. Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not anger, but a quiet, hollow collapse inside her ribs. Inside the cafe, a junior employee from Carter Industries sits alone at another table. He has seen Michael and Jessica together before, seen touches that go beyond professional. He recognizes Emma through the window. He has seen her photo on Michael's desk, softer and fuller in real life than in the framed picture. He watches her step back, sees the way she clutches the container to her chest, sees her turn away. He quietly lifts his phone and takes a single photo through the glass. Michael and Jessica close together, the angle suggestive enough that anyone who loves Michael would feel sick. He doesn't know Emma personally, but he knows she deserves to see. Emma waits. She waits long enough for minutes to feel like hours. She waits until her pastries cool completely in her hands. Finally, Michael stands abruptly, glancing toward the door like he is late for something. Jessica touches his sleeve. "You sure you don't want to stay a little longer?" Michael smirks. "Can't. My wife will start asking questions." Then he laughs as if the word wife is something unnecessary. He exits alone, adjusting his shirt collar. He does not see Emma standing near the corner. She hides the container behind her back. Her face doesn't show anger or tears, only quiet confusion, an ache she hasn't learned how to name yet. Michael walks past her without noticing her. He is too distracted, too flustered from whatever just happened inside the cafe. Emma watches him leave, her heart heavy with questions she is too afraid to ask. She doesn't follow him. She doesn't confront him. She simply turns away, clutching the pastries like they are the last soft part of her day. Emma has always believed in giving people space, not pressure. Her mother taught her never to accuse without proof, never to break trust without certainty. And Emma knows stress has twisted Michael lately. She has been telling herself that for months. So even now, even with suspicion burning in her chest, she chooses silence. Not denial, not blindness, just careful, quiet waiting. She still wants to believe he is the man she married. Her heart knew the truth, but her mind begged for the lie. As Emma returns to her car, her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number appears, created from a temporary masked line. You deserve to know who he spends his time with. Attached is a blurry photo. Emma's thumb trembles as she taps it. The picture loads Michael, Jessica, the same cafe. Her husband was leaning in just a little too close. Emma's breath stops. And that night, the final blow would come, not just at a table full of food, but at a table full of witnesses. Michael slams his chair back against the tile floor so hard the sound echoes through the dining room like a crack of lightning. Every fork freezes midair. Every voice dies. Even the warm lights above seem to dim for a moment. His face is twisted in frustration. His jaw clenches. His eyes burn with a rage Emma has felt growing for months. This is ridiculous, he snaps, louder than necessary, louder than anyone expected. He is not yelling at his father, not at his brother, not at Jessica. He is yelling at Emma. She sits stiffly at the far end of the long table, too modestly dressed for the Carter family's liking, too quiet, too gentle, too her. Her simple dress skims over her soft curves, the rounded line of her stomach, her full arms. The same body Michael used to pull close and call soft and perfect now seems to irritate him. Jessica sits close to Michael's mother, pretending to be a mere co-worker invited last minute. She plays the role well, offering small smiles, gentle laughs, and glances toward Michael that last too long. The intensity holds the room hostage. When Emma had arrived, Michael's mother had given her a tight smile and an even tighter comment. Emma, dear, maybe skip the bread tonight, she had whispered as she passed the basket. You know how family dinners can add on. Her eyes had dropped, just for a second, to Emma's waist. Emma had chuckled weakly and passed the basket on without taking any. Now that same table is the stage for something far worse. The scene's slow, but the tension stays sharp. Emma swallows hard, her hands resting in her lap. She had come tonight hoping to heal the growing distance. She even prepared a dish his mother once complimented, a baked casserole she carried in with both hands, cheeks a little flushed, hoping it would soften the mood. But the moment she arrived, she sensed the shift, the tight smiles, the awkward silence, the way Jessica looked at her with hidden victory, as if she already knew something Emma didn't. Emma tries to steady her voice. I wasn't trying to disagree, Michael. I only asked if... Michael cuts her off with a scoff. Emma, there you go again. Talking about things you don't understand. Jessica hides a smirk behind her glass. Michael's father clears his throat, trying to steer the conversation away. But Michael isn't finished. There's alcohol in his system, stress in his veins, and a cruel comfort in having his family, and Jessica, as an audience. Emma lowers her gaze. She wants peace, not a fight. But tonight, peace will not come. Michael pushes his plate away and leans back with arrogance dripping from every word. Honestly, Emma, why don't you just stop talking? You never say anything useful anyway. The room goes deathly silent. Emma's breath stutters, but she doesn't respond. She has been spoken down to before. She has hidden hurt before. She has swallowed pain quietly before. But this time, Michael doesn't stop. His voice rises, ugly and uncontrolled. You're just a poor fat pig. You should be grateful anyone married you. The words explode through the room. Every face shifts. Shock, discomfort, forced indifference. Michael's mother looks away, eyes glistening but lips sealed. His father stiffens but says nothing, jaw tight with embarrassment. For the scene, not for his son. His brother clears his throat as if he didn't hear it. Jessica looks straight at Emma and smiles. They all saw, they all heard, and they all chose silence because the man who said it was the one they depended on, or thought they did. Emma sits frozen. Her heart slams against her ribs once, hard enough to feel like a bruise forming inside her chest. The food on her plate blurs. Her fingers tremble. And then, her mind drags her back. Young Emma stands alone in a private school hallway. 3 girls surround her. Why are you so quiet? Say something. Look at her. She's weird. And she's getting chubby. Emma tries to disappear into the wall. That night, her mother kneels beside her and wipes her tears. Emma, Olivia whispers, a gentle heart is not a weak one. Your softness, inside and out, is not something to be ashamed of. One day they'll learn that. Those words wrap themselves around Emma like armor. Back in the present, her hands stop shaking. Her eyes lift, not angry, not tearful, but steady in a way that unsettles the entire table. Michael rolls his eyes and reaches for his drink, pretending he didn't just crush the spirit of the woman he vowed to love. He thinks it will blow over like all the other small humiliations. But Emma sees everything now. She sees the truth she kept hoping wasn't real. She sees the cowardice in his family's silence. She sees the pride in Jessica's smirk. She sees clearly for the first time in a long time. Something inside Emma did not break. It awakened. Emma rises from her chair with a slowness that stops even Michael's arrogance for a second. Every eye follows her. She looks around the table, then finally at her husband. Her voice is calm, too calm. Thank you, she whispers. Thank you for showing me who you really are. A ripple of unease passes through the room. Emma turns. Her chair remains pushed back, her untouched plate still warm, her dignity intact in a room full of people who tried to strip it away. As Emma steps toward the door, Jessica leans toward Michael and whispers, barely audible, now she knows. Michael's eyes widen, because deep down, he realizes, tonight, he went too far. And once a gentle heart finally learns the truth, it becomes quiet in ways the world should fear. Emma steps out of the Carter family home and slams the front door behind her so hard the porch lantern rattles violently. The night air hits her like a cold wave as she stumbles onto the walkway, breath shaky, chest tight. But she does not cry. Not a single tear falls. Instead, she grips the railing with both hands, knuckles white, as her entire body shivers. Not from the weather, but from the shock of what just happened. Her husband's voice still rings in her ears. You're just a poor fat pig. Her heartbeat hammers painfully, but her expression shifts into something far more unsettling. Stillness, a terrifying, empty stillness. Pain comes loud, but numbness comes quietly. And that quiet can change everything. The scene slows into deeper reflection. Emma walks down the empty street alone, each step steady, careful, controlled. Her soft body moves with purpose now, not hesitation. She moves like someone who has finally stopped fighting the storm around her and instead decided to walk straight through it. Her face is blank, soft, calm, unreadable. Not broken, not hysterical, not angry, just silent. And that silence carries more weight than any outburst could. She passes under a street lamp, the light revealing the faint tremble in her fingers, small echoes of shock she hasn't fully processed yet. She pauses for a moment and presses a hand against her chest. No tears, no sobs, just a strange, hollow quiet inside her. This was the moment Emma realized something important. She no longer needed to be loved by a man who had forgotten how to see her. She walks another block before stopping in front of a small stone bench. She sits slowly, her posture still straight, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Her dress is slightly wrinkled from the dinner, her makeup smudged at the corners of her eyes, but she doesn't reach up to fix it. She stares ahead, but her mind is far away. Emma thinks about the past, how she has always tried to be gentle, patient, forgiving, how she believed that love could fix distance, how she gave Michael every chance to return to her, how she excused little comments about her body as stress talking instead of what they truly were, contempt. But tonight he destroyed that last fragile thread. Her heart doesn't feel fragile anymore. It feels quiet, steel quiet. Emma lifts her chin and exhales softly, and with that breath, her numbness transforms into something new. Purpose. Decision point. She reaches into her bag and pulls out her phone. Her thumb hesitates for only a second before dialing a number she almost never uses unless something is serious. A voice answers almost immediately. Ms. Green, her mother's old friend and now Emma's head lawyer, speaks gently. Emma, is everything all right? Emma's tone is calm. Too calm. Yes, move the acquisition date. Ms. Green sounds confused. To when? Tomorrow morning, Emma says. I'll be there in person. I want to speak to the board myself. The silence that follows is brief but heavy. Miss Green knows Emma well enough to hear the change in her voice, the shift from softness to quiet steel. As you wish, Ms. Green replies. I'll handle everything. I'll notify the other side that the new owner's representative wants a meeting. Emma ends the call. Her heart doesn't race. Her breath doesn't shake. She feels nothing but clarity. Emma rises from the bench and walks home with slow, deliberate steps. She enters the house quietly. Michael is still at his parents' place, drowning in his own ego and attention. She goes straight to the bedroom. She opens her closet, reaches up to the highest shelf, and pulls down a small wooden box, faded by time. Inside is her mother's handwriting, a single letter. Emma unfolds it carefully, her hands steady for the first time tonight. The letter reads, Use your inheritance when your heart is no longer safe. Mom Emma closes her eyes, hearing her mother's voice whisper inside her memory. You were born with power, my love, but you must choose when to use it. She exhales, long and slow. Tonight she chooses. She places the letter back in the box, but keeps the folder beneath it, the folder containing every document tied to her identity as the Hale heir, her real identity, her real life, her real power, the life Michael never bothered to learn. Emma walks to the window and looks out at the sleeping neighborhood. The moonlight reflects off her calm, steady gaze. By dawn, the balance of power would flip forever, and as she turns away from the window, her phone buzzes. A new message from that same unknown number. It reads, Tomorrow, he will learn everything. Emma's eyes narrow slightly. This time, she doesn't look afraid. Some storms arrive loud, others arrive dressed in silence, carrying justice in their hands. The boardroom door slams shut behind Michael Carter as he storms in, frustrated and sweating. He throws his briefcase onto the table, startling several board members. His father, Richard, sits at the head of the long, polished table, tapping a pen anxiously. Tension fills the air like pressure in a sealed room. We need this investor, Richard mutters. If they don't show, we're finished. The bank wants answers by the end of the week. Michael adjusts his tie, still shaken from the fight with Emma the night before, but hiding it behind arrogance. He glances toward the glass door. She'll be here, he says. Investors don't miss deals that could save an entire company. Jessica sits next to him, too close for a co-worker. Her hand hovers near his arm, then lands lightly on his shoulder, a gesture she pretends is supportive, but everyone else finds inappropriate. Board members exchange nervous looks. They've heard rumors. They've seen the messages Michael carelessly left open on his office computer. None of them had any idea that the person walking through that door would change all of their lives. Michael checks his watch, impatience growing. Richard wipes sweat from his forehead. Jessica reapplies her lipstick, certain her presence beside Michael elevates her importance. Then, a soft click. The door opens. Everyone stands instinctively, expecting a stranger in a sharp suit, some distant representative of an anonymous holding company. They freeze, because the person stepping inside isn't a stranger. It's Emma. The room falls into stunned silence. Emma stands taller than she ever has before. She wears a clean, well-tailored suit that fits her soft curves without apology. Her face is calm, calmer than anyone in the room, calmer than Michael has seen in years. Her presence shifts the entire air. Jessica's hand drops from Michael's shoulder. Richard leans forward in confusion. Michael's jaw literally hangs open. Emma? What are you doing here? He stammers. Emma walks steadily to the center of the room. She does not look at Michael. She does not look at Jessica. She moves with the quiet precision of someone who belongs in rooms like this, someone trained since childhood to step into power without needing permission. She sets a thick folder on the table. The label on it reads, Asset 44B, their family company. Richard shoots to his feet. No, that's impossible. That asset was purchased anonymously. Emma finally looks at him. Her tone is calm, steady. Yes, by me. Whispers erupt instantly. She bought the company? His wife? Is that even legal? How did we not know? Michael stumbles over his own disbelief. You're lying. You don't have that kind of money. He stops himself too late. Everyone hears the insult he almost repeated. Emma's gaze doesn't flinch. I didn't come here to argue, she says. I came to inform you that as of 9 o'clock this morning, I am the new majority owner of Carter Industries, acting through my holding company. The transfer is complete. The bank has been notified. Michael's knees seem to weaken. He grips the table to stay upright. Richard's voice shakes. How is this possible? Emma folds her hands together. My mother left me her entire empire. I chose to live simply. You just never asked who I was. The words hit harder than any anger could. Michael's mouth opens, closes, opens again. He looks like a man drowning without water. Jessica slowly scoots her chair away from him. Emma continues. She opens her briefcase and pulls out 2 documents, sliding them across the table toward Michael and Richard. They both lean forward and go pale. Termination notices, signed, effective immediately. Emma speaks softly. As majority owner, I am restructuring leadership. I cannot keep executives who mismanage funds, ignore warnings, and treat their employees and their families with disrespect. Michael's eyes widen. You can't fire me. Board members shift uncomfortably. One of them clears his throat. She can, he says quietly. With that ownership stake, she absolutely can. But Emma isn't done. She pulls out another envelope and places it gently in front of Michael. An evidence packet. Inside, photos of him with Jessica, screenshots of messages, records of company funds used for dinners, gifts, hotel rooms, all marked, all printed, all sourced from internal audits Emma ordered the moment she moved the acquisition date. Every sin laid bare. Jessica's face drains of color. She slowly removes her hand completely from Michael's arm, distancing herself inch by inch. Michael collapses back in his chair, trembling. Emma, please, I can explain. But Emma doesn't respond. Her silence is colder than anger, sharper than betrayal, more powerful than revenge. The entire boardroom watches in awe. This gentle, plus-size woman standing like a quiet storm, turning the room upside down with nothing but truth and signed documents. Extreme cliffhanger ending. Emma gathers her documents and steps back from the table. I have one final announcement, she says, her eyes locked on Michael. Everyone holds their breath. She opens a folder labeled Dissolution of Marriage, Petition. Michael's face collapses. But the courtroom would not be the end, only the beginning of his downfall. Michael Carter bursts out of the corporate building like a man running from a burning house. His hair is messy, his shirt untucked, his briefcase hanging from one hand like he no longer knows what to do with it. He stumbles down the steps, shouting Emma's name with desperation that cracks his voice. Emma! Emma! But Emma is already walking toward the black car waiting for her at the curb. Ms. Green stands nearby, speaking quietly with the driver. Emma does not turn around. She does not slow down. She moves with a quiet, unstoppable purpose. Michael runs after her, almost tripping over his own feet. Emma, wait, please! Board members stand at the glass windows above, watching the scene unfold. Some whisper, some pity him. Others shake their heads, finally seeing the truth behind the man they once defended. Emma reaches the car door, hand on the handle. Michael reaches her just in time, not close enough to touch, but close enough to plead. I'm sorry, I swear I can fix this. The driver opens the door for her. She steps inside without looking at Michael once. The door closes. The car pulls away. Michael falls to his knees on the pavement. The scene slows into raw reflection. Inside the car, Emma sits still, her hands folded neatly in her lap. The world outside blurs past the windows, but her expression remains calm, almost serene. Silence again, not numbness this time, but release. She lets out a slow breath, the kind that feels like closing a chapter. Across town, Michael stumbles to his feet and wipes his face with the back of his hand. He pulls out his phone in a panic and dials her number. It rings once before a clear voice answers. Ms. Green, Emma's lawyer. Mr. Carter, this is Ms. Green. I'll be handling all communication going forward. Michael freezes. What? No, put Emma on the phone. I'm afraid that won't be possible. And then she delivers the blow. You are officially served. A man steps out of a nearby car and hands Michael a large sealed envelope. Michael tears it open with shaking fingers. Inside, divorce petition. Grounds listed in bold, undeniable text. Emotional abuse. Public humiliation. Infidelity. Misuse of company funds. The world tilts for him. Hours later, Michael storms back toward the building, only to find security waiting for him. You're not allowed inside, one guard says. New owner's orders. Your access card has been deactivated. HR will mail your personal items. My wife owned the company? Michael still can't process it. She's not your wife anymore, sir, the guard replies without cruelty. Word spreads quickly. Michael Carter is fired. Richard Carter is removed from the board. The Carter family legacy is gone, and Emma did not raise her voice. Not once. Michael rushes to Jessica's apartment next. He bangs on the door. Desperate, sweaty, frantic. Jessica opens the door halfway, looks at him for exactly 2 seconds, then rolls her eyes. Oh, it's you! The hallway smells like expensive perfume and air freshener, the same scent that once clung to his shirts. Michael tries to reach for her hand. She steps back instantly. Jessica, please, he begs. You're all I have left. I just need... She interrupts with a cold laugh. A man with no job, no status, and no future? Why would I stay with you? Michael's face collapses. But you said you cared about me. She shrugs. I said a lot of things. It was fun while you were useful. Then she adds the final stab. I'm not going down with a loser. The door slams in his face. Michael stands alone in the hallway, broken, rejected, stripped of everything he once flaunted. The apartment he once used as a work-late crash spot suddenly feels like a cell. When he drags himself back to his parents' home, hoping for comfort, he finds none. Richard yells at him. His mother cries. His brother shakes his head in disappointment. This is all your fault, Richard shouts. You pushed away the only person who could have saved us. Michael's eyes widen. Even his own family has turned on him. He stumbles out of the house, tears finally spilling. Outside, night settling around him, he sees Emma's car parked near the gate. She is stepping out, talking quietly to Ms. Green, who hands her another document to review. Michael runs toward her again. Emma, please! She turns slowly this time, just once, so he can see her face. No hatred, no anger, no fear, just clarity. Emma, I can change, he cries. Her answer is soft, steady, unshakable. You did change, she says. That was the problem. She steps toward her car again. Michael freezes when he sees the envelope in her hand. Another legal document. His eyes widen. Michael thought he had lost everything, but the real storm was still ahead. Emma's car door closes. She doesn't look back. And tomorrow, justice would arrive in a room where truth has no place to hide. A heavy wooden door swings open, banging lightly against the wall as Emma Hale steps into the executive office. Her executive office now. The sound echoes through the room like a declaration, a final announcement that the old world is gone and a new one has begun. Weeks have passed since the boardroom confrontation and the first round of court hearings. Enough time for legal processes to move forward, for paperwork to be filed, for decisions to become final. Stacks of documents wait on the polished table. A fresh nameplate sits at the edge. Emma Hale, CEO, not Carter, not anyone's wife. Her name, her identity, her power. The lights glow softly around her, highlighting the calm strength in her face. Her suit fits her soft frame cleanly and professionally. She doesn't look like the stereotype people expect when they hear billionaire, or the caricature they imagine when they hear fat. She looks like what she is, in control. The scene slows into deep reflection. Emma takes a seat at the large desk, centered beneath a framed mission statement she didn't write, but will likely rewrite soon. She reaches for the final stack of CEO documents, flipping through each page with quiet precision. Her hands do not shake. Her breathing is controlled. Her heart is still, finally free from the constant ache she carried for years. She wasn't here to celebrate his downfall. She was here to rebuild the pieces she inherited from her mother, the legacy she protected in silence. Emma signs the last page. Then she opens her purse and retrieves a small letter, the one her mother wrote years ago. She unfolds it again, even though she knows every word by heart. Use your inheritance when your heart is no longer safe. Emma presses the paper to her chest for a moment. This time she doesn't feel sorrow. She feels gratitude. Her mother prepared her for this, prepared her to walk away from disrespect without needing revenge, prepared her to stand tall without raising her voice, prepared her to live in the body she has, with the power she carries, without apologizing for either. She slides the letter back into the purse and closes it gently. Across town, Michael faces the aftermath. The divorce decree arrived days ago. Spousal privileges removed. Claim to the company, none. Claim to her wealth, none. Claim to her life, gone. Board members avoid him. Neighbors close their blinds. Jessica has blocked his number. His parents speak to him only when necessary, their voices brittle and tired. He sits alone in his tiny apartment, the same place he once used as an affair hideout, staring at the legal notice Emma's lawyer delivered. He is left with debts, a damaged reputation, and the echo of his own words. "You're just a poor fat pig." She didn't destroy him out of anger. She simply removed herself from a place she was never respected, and the structure that depended on her broke under its own weight. Back at the office, Emma stands, smoothing the front of her blazer. Her calm expression does not falter. She takes her simple purse, the same one everyone ignored for years, and walks toward the door. Her heels click softly against the floor, a steady rhythm that fills the empty hallway with quiet power. When she reaches the main lobby, employees pause mid-conversation. Heads turn, eyes widen. "That's the new owner?" She's so calm. "I thought she was just his quiet wife." "She saved the company? She bought everything?" Whispers spread like rising wind. Emma gives no speech, no grand announcement, no dramatic stare-down. She simply walks through the large glass doors, her posture straight, her heart steady, her future wide open. As she steps outside, her purse swings slightly and opens just enough for the audience to see inside. A photo of her mother, smiling warmly. A folded divorce decree, final and irreversible. These two objects represent everything she overcame and everything she reclaimed. The quiet ones are rarely weak. They simply wait for the right moment to show their strength. Emma walks into the sunlight, no longer hiding, no longer underestimated, no longer afraid. The doors close behind her with a soft thud. Fade out. And somewhere behind those closing doors, a man realized too late that he had never known the woman he lost. The end.